If you see this design on a coin where it has the Arabic symbol known as the tafra, has the three vertical lines in the middle, a couple round curves on the left, a couple of lines coming out to the right, topped by the crescent moon and star, this is going to be a coin from Pakistan. This design is shown on a lot of their coins. We flip it over, we have the number 5 on front of a sailboat. This is going to be a 5 peso coin from 1972. The catalog number is KM26. These were made from 1964 to 1974, and what I find unusual about this version of the coin, the older version of the coin actually had the word Pakistan written in our alphabet on this side of the coin, but for this version of the coin, they replaced it with the Arabic letters on either side. But then, you flip it over, they changed the Arabic way of drawing the number 5, which looks like an upside-down heart, and replaced it with our version of the number 5. So they kind of made a switch going both directions on here. But the date on this is 1972. In today's video, we're looking at the coins that are on the screen right now and a couple of banknotes at the end. These come from a purchase I made at the November 24 Tennessee State Numismatic Show, where I met one of my favorite dealers, Bob. I actually see Bob at pretty much every show I go to, so he's somewhere in the South, and he travels everywhere that I travel. And what makes his booth different is he focuses on world coins, but he has a box of 5-cent coins, which you don't see that very often, and a box of 25-cent coins, a box of 50-cent coins, and a box of dollar coins, and a box of $2 coins, and a bunch of things and flips, and a bunch of better things underneath the case. But what I like to do is go through a lot of his inexpensive coins, especially the 5-cent bin, and I buy a lot of things in there that I like to put in my trade pile, and or the lots that I sell on eBay. So it's kind of trying to be a picker, a foreign coin picker here, as I look for things which I can go ahead and turn around and flip. However, in this case, I'll say that this is one of the best pickups I've made from him. I got a lot of things which were actually, I intended to be pickups for my trade pile, but ended up being new to my collection, like that first Pakistan coin. And so there's some good things in here, and I usually write down how much I pay for everything right after I go, just so I can, while it's fresh on my mind, remember what I paid. I think I paid $6 for everything in this video, I think. And that would include 20 of these coins were 5 cents each. So let's dig in. When Elizabeth first became queen, this was the way her 5-cent coin appeared in Canada. This coin was dated 1953. And it always has kind of a weird look to it. Now, there is a little bit of barely amount of tarnishing on here, which is not supposed to be there, but it just has kind of a different shine to it. The reason for that is, at the time, and this dated back a little bit to the George VI coins, these were chromium plated steel. Now, they only did that for 1953 and 54 before they then went to nickel, and then eventually they switched it to round. But so they did switch up the metals here. But this is catalog KM50. And there are a couple of different versions of the portrait here. It's kind of hard to tell because it is a little bit well worn, but there are 2 varieties here. Now, the catalog listed as the no strap variety, but maybe it's better to say it's the fold variety. It would appear in the shoulder of the dress that she's wearing right here, kind of a fold in the dress. I guess maybe it wasn't too proper for a queen to be depicted wearing like a dress with straps on it or something like that. But the price guide calls it a strap variety that you can see on here, or I think the fold variety is a little bit more proper way of describing it. This is the no fold variety because you don't really see anything through here. There'd be a couple of extra lines running along her shoulder. This is a beaver coin, so that design continued to stay for a while. There are a couple of other varieties that go along with that. One of them is the gap between the leaves at the top and the edge. So this one is a little bit of a larger gap. The other one, the leaves are practically touching the little teeth that go around the edge. And then the other way of telling them apart is if you look at the letter I here, this is called the flared I. So at the very top, it kind of comes out to a point that pokes out to the side a little bit more. The non-flared I version is more of a rectangular version. The flares and the dress folds kind of line up, so they use the same dies for that. This one is catalog KM50, the first coin that the first 5-cent coin they made of Queen Elizabeth in Canada. So now we're going further in time to the last circulating coin they made, the last circulating 5-cent coin they made of Elizabeth. This was the last version of the coin. This one's specifically dated 2018, but they made this one 2006 to 2022. So I believe this is considered the fourth portrait. Catalog KM 491. At this point, it was nickel-plated steel. They've also added the Royal Canadian Mint mark here at the very bottom. But we still have the same beaver design on this coin. So this one is catalog KM 491. This specific dealer, he has a 5-cent bin and a 25-cent bin, but for Canadian coins, he always asks face value for them. He does that with euros as well. So there's one other Canadian 5-cent piece I want to show off. Now on this one, instead of having the Royal Canadian Mint mark at the bottom, it has the letter P. That is not a mint mark, but that means P for plated. But otherwise, I think this side of the coin looks the same. But what I want to highlight is in 2005, it was the 60th anniversary of the end of World War II, or the victory in Europe. And so this is a coin that's actually a throwback to the coin they made in 1945 that had the same V for victory, but also V as in the Roman numeral 5 for 5 cents with the torch in front of it. So at the time it was George the 6th, and they had this similar design, except it was 12-sided back then. But it's always neat to pick these up. I love how they had the V for victory, V for 5 on these. I thought that's a nice little touch that they've done. That one's going to be KM 627. Here is a 50 penny coin from Finland. And I feel like I don't find as many coins from Finland as I used to. I used to pick up a lot of these when I was first into coin collecting. Part of that was because at the time my brother's best friend moved to Finland. But here we have Finland, that they call themselves Suomen Tasavalta. This coin is dated 1973, and so this was the design of pretty much all of the lower denomination coins at the time. This one is catalog KM 48. This one has a book value of $1. And there's an S mint mark right here. Actually, it's not a mint mark, but it's a mint master initial, so that does not reflect where it was made, but who was overseeing making it. And the catalog has a note that some of the coins minted in 1971 are magnetic, but none of the rest are. So the ones in 71 that are magnetic are worth more. It just doesn't say how much. Here's an early coin of socialist Czechoslovakia. This is a 1 holler. Plural of that is Holaru. From 1962. On this side it has a 1 with a little star on top of it. So there were 5 coins, a 1, a 3, a 5, a 10, and a 25, all made out of aluminum that essentially looked just like this one, but with a bigger number on it. And the bigger the denomination, the bigger it got in size. So this one is catalog KM 51, the 1 holler. Here is a coin from Cyprus. Unfortunately, it has a little bit of goo stuck to the side that maybe I can scratch off without really hurting it. But this is going to be very soon after a 1983 monetary reform. This is going to be the 1 cent, featuring a stylized bird. So before the monetary reform of 1983, they used the mill system, where you had 1,000 mills make up their currency. But starting in 1983, they went to 100 cents. This coin is catalog KM 53.2. That's because in 1983, there was what they called a single line going around the number 1 right here, whereas starting in 85 and for a few years after it, it became a double line. They say that, but I can't really see it, but you can go from it with based on the date, but that doesn't look like a double line to me. Maybe it's just a more layers added to it or something like that. But yeah, our coin from Cyprus. Here's another coin that I meant to add to my trade pile, but turns out I didn't have it. So this design with the eagle looking to the right with the 3 stars on the shield, this is from the Syrian Arab Republic, which started in 1961. This one's going to be a 25 piastres. It has an Arabic date of 1387 and a Gregorian date of 1968. Catalog number is KM96. So this was a 1-year coin, not that they made coins every year, but they only made this one for 1 year. And what makes it different is the dates appear on the left and the right of the rectangle. Later on, the dates appeared at the bottom below the banner. So the Arabic inside the banner essentially translates to Syria Arab Republic, and also that is what is written inside the rectangle on this side. Next up, we have a coin from Fiji. This was before they switched off of before they switched to a decimal system. So they were with the 1 pence, 3 pence, 6 pence system that Britain was using, since Britain was controlling them. They switched to decimal in 1969, but they had the 1 penny right here. This was dated 1964, and that was, of course, Queen Elizabeth II, written on here. This coin is catalog KM21. And I'm wondering if there's an error on here, because I see a little bit of a crack right here. Maybe it's more noticeable right here, as well as up here. So, do you think that's an error? I don't know if this is. I don't know my errors all that well, so I don't know if this is a die crack but it. Not usually the way I see a die crack. It makes me think it's more of a planchet error, where there was a problem where the metals didn't mix too well, and so that causes it to kind of flake or crack up a little bit. I forget the name of that error. So let me know your thoughts on that if you think this is an error. But this one is KM21. Here's a simple low-value coin from Taiwan made out of aluminum. Features a flower on this side and just a couple of characters on this side. This is a 10 cents coin. Catalog number KM545. Taiwanese coins don't have a calendar year on them. Instead, they have the year of, since Taiwan, or I guess you would call the Republic of China, became a country. So the year of the country here is, that's a 5, plus means 50, and then this is their 6, so it's year 56 of the Republic. The Republic of Taiwan started in 1911, so you add 1911 to 56, you have 1967 is the year of this Taiwan coin. We've got a couple of coins from Honduras, which will be upgrades to my collection. This one is the 2, or dos centavos of a lempira. And it's dated 1956. And I really like the condition of this coin, so I wanted to pick it up. KM78. So at this point, they made these out of bronze. Later, it became bronze-clad steel. But the 2 centavos wasn't a currency or a denomination that they used for too long. KM78. And of course, a lot smaller, we have the un, or 1 centavo of a lempira. Pretty much identical in a lot of ways to the last coin, just smaller. Dated 1957. This one's cataloged KM77.2. So it's also made out of bronze, but this one has a 0.2 because it's considered the thin planchet version, which they used this particular year. Here is a coin from Hungary. It's a 2-filler. It usually does belong in a low-value bin, so a 5-cent bin would have been appropriate for this. However, this one also has a date at the bottom of 1965, making this year was the one key date that this coin had. These were made from 1950 to 1989, which pretty much mirrors the length of the Hungarian People's Republic. While they made millions of this coin every year, in this specific year of 1965, they only made 540,000 of them, and so that makes it a key date. So since I would call this one uncirculated, the catalog says this one's worth $4. Nemista only thinks it's worth $2, but I'm saving this one in my coin just because it's a key date. So catalog KM 546. So here's another coin I meant to get from my trade pile. It's a 1 franc from French Polynesia. So think of Tahiti or Bora Bora with that. And also, this one's in quite nice shape. The 1 franc. We flip it over. It has a look of a lot of the French-controlled areas. Had this design in 1965. It was made in Paris. It doesn't have a mint mark, but it has privy marks on either side of the date. But as it turns out, I did not have this coin because this was the first year that the French Polynesia 1 franc was made. And for this year only, it does not have the letters IE in the space over here, OM on the space over there. And the IEOM appears on a lot of French Polynesian coins after 1965. Those initials essentially translate to the Overseas Issuing Institute. So that makes this a 1-year coin that I didn't have, and I'm glad to find it in such nice condition. KM2. And so, although you don't see it very often, it only has a book value of 75 cents, but hey, I'll take it. We have another uncirculated aluminum coin. This one is from Nepal. It has the Himalaya Mountains in the background. And on this side features a rhododendron flower. This one's going to be a 1 paisa. And with these, it's a good thing that I don't have to rely on looking at the picture in the catalog, and I can actually go to Nemista to look up close-up of it, because this is a coin that spanned multiple versions that has different writing in their language through here. So it has a different ruler of Nepal on here. So this one was, the ruler was Shah Mahendrapur Bikram. And also it has a date on here of 2028. So this is not from the future. They just use a different calendar than we do. That actually to our calendar translates to 1971. But I do have to look at the date and the writing on here. I need close-up picture of that to figure out which version of the coin I'm looking at for my catalog. But this one's KM 748. As it turns out, this one was minted in San Francisco, in America. And this is a currency that's still valid. However, it's not worth a whole lot. If you had 1,000 of these, it would have a foreign exchange value of United States 7 cents. This one had some corrosion to it, which is sad, but I guess that's what made it affordable, cheap to pick up. You don't find coins from Monaco very often, so I decided to go ahead and pick this one up. It does feature the ruler of Monaco has the title of Prince, so this is Prince Louis II of Monaco. Flip it over. This is a 1 franc coin. There is no date on this, but it was made in 1945. Prince Louis II was the ruler there from 1922 to 1949. The metal here is aluminum bronze, and it was only made 1 year, so it has a catalog number of KM120A. There was a previous year that they made it out of aluminum, so that version was just KM120. This was also minted in Paris, so it has a couple of Paris privy marks there and there. This coin books for $1. I am still amazed that I can find silver coins cheap. Whether I picked this up out of a quarter bin or a 5-cent bin, I don't remember, but the silver melt value on something like this, even though this is only a 40% silver coin that is about the size of a United States dime, this still has 0.0298 ounces of silver. So at $30 an ounce, that's still 90 cents worth of silver. So am I crazy for silver stacking these? You know, every time I can get one for a quarter and it's worth 90 cents of silver, hopefully I never have to be in a situation where I have to cash these in. But what do you think? I've heard that it said here in America, they will say that sometimes the old silver, partially silver war nickels that the United States made would not get you silver spot price, just because if they actually needed the silver out of it, it would take more effort to reclaim them. That wasn't the last silver coin, because I found one of these 30% silver Mexican 25 centavos. They did 1952. They made these for about 4 years. And so again, it's only 30% silver, but that comes to 0.0321 ounces. So let's say 95 cents on this one. 95 cents of silver on here. Even if I can only get 60 cents of value out of it if I had to trade it in some year, I'd still think that's an upgrade. But there was one more. So that makes 3 silver coins with a melt value of about $2.70 out of this lot. We're going to move to a coin from Thailand. This is a circulating version of a 1 baht coin. And I think they made these for about 4 years. There are 2 varieties here of this coin. And it has to do with, it's listed as the small portrait or the large portrait. But really what the way to tell is, see the edge of the uniform or coat that he's wearing, it comes up pretty high in the neck, whereas his hair comes down and practically the bottom of Rama the Knight's hair essentially touches the top of the coat or jacket that he's wearing right there. So this is the hairline variety. The other version there is a significant gap between the bottom of his hair and the top of the coat that he's wearing. So this one is catalog KM 159.1. This version is the much more common version. I've never found the rarer version. We flip this one over. And so here we have the number 1 for 1 baht. That's how they draw 1 in their culture. This is going to be the temple of the Emerald Buddha. One thing I'd like to also point out here is look at the tiny little symbol at the very bottom here. I don't know how well that's going to show up on here. This is where we have the date on here. So very tiny, and of course a coin this old and well worn might be difficult to see the details, but this is a tiny bird of paradise. So you might be able to, can't even hold it steady, Let me try. You might be able to see coming out of the middle of it, a head coming out, a couple of wings to the side. But on top of that, there are a couple of numbers stamped on it, which would be the last 2 years of their calendar. And so the numbers stamped onto this one are a 2 and a 6. So this on their calendar was made in 2526. Our calendar, that's 1983. So you don't see that as often on some of these Thailand coins, but you see it on this one, and I wanted to point it out. So I mentioned earlier that this dealer sells Canadian coins at face value, so I paid 25 cents for this Canadian, 25 cents. He probably would have charged more if it didn't have this huge scratch on it, but I want to point out that in 1999, the Canadians made a series of 12 coins, one for every month of the last year of the millennium. So this is the July 1999 coin. If you look closely, it's supposed to be one line that draws 6 faces, so it just someone didn't pick up the pen and drew all of that in one design. The name of the series is History of Canada Through the Second Millennium, and the specific name of this coin is A Nation of People. So it's showing off the diverse cultures that they have there in Canada. So this coin is KM 348, but that's not the last time that Canada did that kind of thing. They did it also to start the year 2000. So this is a 2000 quarter. At least this one doesn't have a big scratch on it, but as we flip this one over, the coins in 2000, in the first year of the new millennium, featured a different, I guess you'd say, an attribute of Canada that they like. So this one is pride. So as you look here, it's a giant maple leaf, has a large stylistic 2 that goes across it, and then 3 smaller maple leaves that run across the big maple leaves. And so you're supposed to think of the smaller maple leaves like they're zeros. So that's kind of a stylized way of writing the year 2000 on here. Of course, it has the word pride in both English and French. Fierté, maybe? I don't speak French, but this coin is catalog KM 384.2. There is also a colorized version of this coin, so that would be the 0.1. They didn't do that for all of the 2000 coins. I think they only did it for this one. This is a coin that was also probably cheap because of the corrosion, although the details on it are pretty nice. This one is Tunisia. It's no longer controlled by the French, but they still use the 1 franc currency, and it has still made in Paris because there are Parisian privy marks on this one also. Has a date on our calendar of 1945. Their calendar is 1364. Good for 1 franc. Catalog number is KM 247. This one, if you found it uncirculated, would have a book value of $10, or if you found it uncirculated for a key date, it would be worth $25. This coin belongs to the Monetary Union of West Africa. This was an area that also at one time was controlled by the French, and the coins were still made by the French because there are, again, some Paris privy marks on either side of the 1970 on here. But in this case, all of the countries, the modern countries, which were one time part of the French West Africa, just continue to use the franc, continue to make their currency together. So it has the central bank of the states of West Africa. This is going to include Benin, Senegal, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Togo, and Niger. This coin is KM number 4 in the catalog. Here we have a good quality but low value coin from India. It's a 10 paisa from 1972. The little diamond below the 72 means that it was minted in Bombay. Catalog number, there are I believe, three different varieties of these. One is they did sometimes over the years change the look of the Ahsoka three-lion pedestal on here, but also with the size of the number 10 on here. So look out for different varieties. So now we have another Portuguese-controlled area, but it has a couple of Chinese characters on here. This one is going to be from Macau. A 5 avos, which was I believe, the smallest denomination that Macau had. This coin is catalog KM1A. And so this is a design that's pretty typical for an area controlled by the Portuguese. Dated 1967, this is 1A, so this version of the coin was only made 1 year, but it's made out of brass. The other year this coin was made was 1952, so just version 1 of the coin was made out of bronze. And then this denomination was discontinued. Here's another common coin that I picked up because it's in excellent shape. This is from Poland, specifically the People's Republic of Poland days. This is a 10 groszy from 1968. There is a Mint of Warsaw MW mint mark right here underneath the talon. I can zoom in on that. These were made from 1961 to 1985. The catalog number, I find it kind of weird. The catalog, they still use the older Y system, so it's catalog Y number AA47. And I've seen the AA in the catalog before, a number on some of these. I'm guessing, and you tell me if I'm right on this, I'm guessing that's because they accidentally missed something, and so they had to go up and kind of shoehorn it into the catalog, so they reused a number but kind of put an A in front of it just to let people know that we added this one later. But it's a double A, so Y AA47. And this coin actually books for $1.50 because of the condition. We had a Cyprus coin earlier that was 1 cent. Well, this one was before the cent. They had the mills system, and so this coin is dated 1963. Cyprus gained independence in 1960, which is why it appears below the bird on the shield on the front here. But it has the name of Cyprus written in a couple of different languages, or alphabets, I should say, on this side. But it's a 5 mil, so this goes to the 1,000 mils, make up a pound time. Catalog number on this one is KM39. This coin from Costa Rica is all beaten up, but it's actually still going to be a replacement for the version of this coin that I have in my collection. It is from 1935. It's made out of copper nickel, I believe. This is going to be a 1 cologne. Catalog number is KM173. I think it's the first 1 cologne that they ever made. And so even though it had a date of 1935, they actually made these in 1936. But it's also a 1-year coin because if you look at the initials there at the bottom, BICR, which might stand for, I don't know, the Independent Bank of Costa Rica, it changed to the National Bank of Costa Rica the next year in 1937. So going forward after this, all of the Costa Rican coins will have the initials BNCR on them. But this one is hard to find in decent condition. If you found it uncirculated, it would be booking for $35. We've got another coin from Thailand. This one has a larger size coin. Again, we have Ram the Ninth on this side. Featuring Garuda, the mythical creature, with, I believe, religious symbolism. That's seen a lot in Thailand. Catalog number on this one's KM111. The date on here at the very bottom is 2522, which on our calendar turns into 1979. These are not rare at all. There's 72 million of these. There are also some edge lettering, but it's so well worn. Of course, I wouldn't be able to speak the language anyway, but did want to point that out. Here we have a halfpenny with George the Sixth on it. But this penny is from Australia. People love the kangaroos. dated 1941. This does not have a mint mark on it, so that means it was made in Melbourne. Catalog number CAM41. We have a couple banknotes coming up, but this was the coin I paid the most for. This one is going to be an old coin from Haiti, 10 centimes. And so if you've seen Haiti coins before, you probably recognize, although it's very well worn, but the scene on the back with a couple of cannons left and right, a couple of flags, palm tree in the background, cannonball stacked in front of the cannons down low. But it's from Haiti. We flip this one over. It has a date of 1863. And it features President Giffard. This was the first year of the Haiti Republic. Catalog number is KM40 in this fairly not so good condition. It's books for $1. If you found it uncirculated, it would book for $22. We'll wrap up here with a couple of banknotes that I paid $1 for each of these. First we have a $1 from Singapore. Featuring a tern, the black nape tern there on the left. There is a watermark on here of a lion. There's not a date on here, but it was made in 1976. We flip this one over, and it features I believe this is called the National Day Parade. This was printed by, it says in the bottom left, the Bradbury, Wilkinson and Company. And there's very faint printing here of the image on the left. There's also a security stripe that runs through it, and there's a couple of varieties of it. So it appears to be a solid line which runs through it. So if you have the version of the solid line, this is catalog number P9. There is a segmented line on a newer version that was 9B. We're going to finish off with this 1,000 rupiah from Indonesia, dated 2016, right here. This banknote features Indonesian hero Cut Musha. She's in the watermark right here. It also has the Bank of Indonesia logo right here, where if you hold it up to the light, you can see the full symbol, but when you're only looking at one side, you only see half of that symbol. Has all the little circles on it, so that used as the anti-counterfeiting measure. And then we flip this one over. In the middle there, we have the someone performing the ceremonial Tifa dance. On the right, it says Banda Neira, which is an island, and specifically we have a view of Fort Belgica on Banda Neira Island. So this note is catalog number P154A. So the notes by themselves were $1, and so that means I paid $6 for everything, so all of the coins were $4, and there were some pretty good winners in there. And so just the book value of all the coins, based on there were a couple that really carried the weight on it, total book value $20 on these. So very happy. More of them are going into my personal collection than I originally thought when I was paying for it. But I do have some more videos from this show, other shows, my favorite coin shop. So I'll have some more content coming for you in another week or so. So I'll catch you again. Bye.